You want me to get
Hey
started?
everybody, welcome to Live Your Effing Life. Thank you all for being here. I'm Avalaura Gaither, your life coach and intuitive consultant, and this is my amazing guest, Yashika. I am so happy to have her today. I'm gonna let her introduce herself because she is an amazing individual, and I'm not gonna do that justice. Yashika, thank you so much for being here. And to introduce yourself and tell our guests a little bit about you.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Yashika Foster. I am the founder of Hood Parenting. Listen, that's just is what it is. Hood parenting. It's exactly what it sounds like. Hood parenting. I use my education, my experiences, and my hood gut instincts to show people how to navigate life, right? Teach
Mm.
people and show people how to navigate life, right? Through those things, my education experiences and my gut instinct, right? A little bit about myself. Just 51 and fabulous, honey. That's it. 51 and fabulous. That's it. 51 and fabulous.
Listen, if we could all grow to be 51 and fabulous. I'm not there yet, but I am looking forward to it. 51 fabulous and have lived.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's
we
it.
we gonna say she is the live and she's in the live your effing life part of
That's
her life
that's
right now,
exactly
right?
right.
Like
That's exactly right. I am
we
living my
have
life.
those phases. That's the life phase that she's in right now. So we're gonna talk all about that
And I
right
bought
now
the
because
cake to go with it. But you best believe I'm gonna wear it I'm gonna have a I'm gonna have that fox on with my designer handbag, some good old shoes, and I'm probably gonna have on a Timu or a Fashion Nova or a Sheen dress. You can best believe I'm gonna have on one of those, right? You best believe I'm gonna balance it out. I'm gonna balance it out.
no, but that makes sense. Spend the money in your accessories because you're more likely
That's
to
what,
keep wearing those over and over and
yeah, I'm
over
like,
again.
yeah, because I could swap that whole thing out. Because
Yeah,
when you got on something like a nice handbag, or
yeah.
I'm telling you, like I'm talking about a nice handbag and some
Hmm.
nice shoes, especially you got a nice coat or whatever.
Hmm.
Listen, it don't matter what you got on up under the garment, but this dress right here, this dress was a couple of hundred, so I figure I'm gonna wear this one again. So this one right here, I'm gonna wear this one again, and I might wear it again and again and again. So this is
And
gonna
that's
get a couple.
okay.
Because this wasn't a $13 Timu dress.
But isn't it wild how like it has like shifted our whole way of shopping and presenting ourselves, right? Because
Yeah,
before, like many of us, we wouldn't be caught dead in no
yeah,
$13 outfits, right?
girl.
It was like, not what
And you know
now?
what? You know what? I feel it goes back because I remember, and you know what? I kid you not. I really thank my mother for who she was. I remember there was this place called Shoppers World that my mother used to go to.
Hmm.
And every 4th of July, my mother raised my brother now on welfare. She was a teenage mother, right? I had a, you name it. I come from the hustle. I come from the hustle, right?
Hustle.
And yeah, I come from the hustle, like straight up from the hustle, right? And my mother, but my mother made sure that every holiday we had a new outfit, right? So I remember my mother would take us to Shoppers World for the 4th of July. So I would have me my red, white, and blue 4th of July outfit on. Okay, she would get from for Shoppers World, and she paid about $3 for that whole outfit. And I had my jelly shoes on that
The
she paid
jelly
about
shoes.
$2. And tell me I wasn't fresh because I was matching head to toe for $5. Okay, and so when I look at that, and so I remember my mother when she would get it, like when as time would go on, she didn't know what to buy me and my brother for Christmas. So she would give us like $100, right? And my brother,
Mm.
and so you figure back in the this was like I graduated high school '91. So you figure this was like the latter '90s, excuse me, latter '80s, early '90s. So
Mhm.
she would give us like $100. And so you figure to us that didn't go far, but to her that was a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So, but I would go, girl. I would go to Baker's. Okay, I would
Mhm.
get me. I would go to Baker's and I would go to Learners. Okay, I would get me some whole bunch of outfits and some shoes because Baker's had them shoes. You can get you two of them for like $39.99. Okay, girl, you couldn't tell me. So I think about stuff like that. I think about
Yeah,
how
for
even back
sure.
then I made sure that I got more bang for my buck.
Yep.
Even and so now I'm able to integrate those things. And so my mother tell me now, she's like, Yashika, you've been doing this for a long time. So I
It's
was like, yeah.
true.
So now I'm able to
Yep.
use those things, but I spend my money on the pieces that matter, which is because these bad feet now, girl. I done served 25 years in the army now. I got to put some money on these
Mm,
shoes now. I can't be wearing ain't no wrong with fashionista shoes now, but I can't be wearing fashionista shoes now. I
yeah,
got to spend some money on the shoes.
I'm with you on that one. That's not. I've seen the Timu shoes. It's not gonna work. Not gonna
Now
work.
I can't. Now I
Mm-mm,
can't wear those now. Now,
mm-mm.
but I
Nope.
can wear the dresses now. I can't wash the dresses now. You only can get one good wear out of the dresses now. Now, if you wash them, you got to wash them in cold water, okay? And you got to put them on gentle wash, okay? Now, you might get two wears out of them if you depend
Maybe
on.
two. The two-wear dress.
And
That's
you
that's
ain't gonna
real.
serve around accountable one time with them, so you can't wear them next summer, right? You could go.
Right.
You have to shop again next season. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's facts. That is facts. But no, you know what, you actually brought up a really good point, because I'm like thinking about my journey, with clothes and fashion. And so my parents, so there's three of us, and my parents, they were broke. They were
mm-hmm,
literally got married fresh out of college. So
mm-hmm,
they were early, 21, 22. They had no money, first starting off in their careers and stuff. So they would take us to the thrift store, but they would go to
mm-hmm,
the thrift stores in the nice white neighborhoods, and they
mm-hmm,
would get us the Oshkosh Bagosh, like the Gap
mm-hmm.
Kids, like the good stuff from the thrift stores.
Yeah.
And that was like no big deal. So we were always looking good, but the same thing, they didn't spend that money. And my father is a
Right.
coupon shopper. He
Right.
loves his coupons. So when we did go to like we would do like Lord and Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what else. Like a lot of stores that are not even around anymore. He would get
Yeah.
like the double coupons, the triple coupons, and then he would do is he would never get us a lot. Like if it was Christmas, we wouldn't get our clothes for Christmas. We would get it after Christmas because that's when all the sales were. So his
Okay.
thing was like, I ain't gonna get you all that stuff just to have it under the tree, because
Right.
the 50% off, the 60% off, and all of that stuff is gonna be after Christmas. So that's when you're
Yeah.
gonna get the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Sound like you had a wonderful childhood, honey. Sound like you had a wonderful childhood. Because when you said your father, I was intrigued. Once you said your father, girl, I was intrigued. I was like, girl, you had a father. I was like, girl, you had a father. Girl, I was intrigued.
Lord, I don't even know why I'm laughing at that, because that's not funny, but it's funny.
I was intrigued. I was intrigued. Listen, I was intrigued. You had me from that. You had me
That
from
you
that,
got
honey.
my
And then on
attention.
top of that, you said Lord and Taylor. Girl, I didn't even know what the heck a Lord and Taylor was. I was like, what? They had a coupon at Lord and Taylor. Girl,
I
I didn't
learned
even
to
know what
buy
a Lord
things
and
on the
Taylor
cheap
was.
from the right places from an
Girl,
early
we had
age.
Shoppers World. I remember, let me tell you something. I remember the first time, I kid you not, I remember the first time I went to Target. I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And I was visiting my uncle for the summertime. And he lived in Minneapolis. And I went in there and I bought me two pair of shoes. I bought the same shoes. They was the same. They was the same shoes, a pair of black shoes and a pair of white shoes. I called them school shoes, girl. Remember back in the day, you called them school shoes, right? Because it was like little dress shoes. They had a little heel on them. Because I'm telling you, you couldn't tell me nothing. Because my uncle had gave me some money for doing something I did that summer. So I was like, you know what? When I go back to school this year, I'm gonna be fresh. So I bought me two pair of school shoes, a pair of black ones and a pair of white ones. They had like a little bow on it, right? You couldn't tell me none of it was plastic,
No.
right? But I say this because I got them from Target.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, you couldn't listen. That was like listen, I was at Target,
That
girl.
was a
Like
big
I got me
deal.
some shoes from Target. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was like, girl, I got these from Target. Like you couldn't tell me
She said I was balling.
like girl, like my mother was buying my shoes from Payless. Like, and you said Lord and Taylor, girl.
But it's funny how when you get older, right, the perception changes, right? Because now you be like, Target, like who buying shoes from Target? It's like back in the
Girl.
day, like Red Lobster was it. Like Red Lobster was the birthday spot. Like any
I-
special occasion, you go to Red Lobster. Now you like Red Lobster.
Let me tell you
Who's doing
something. Like you had to get
perception?
dressed up to go to Red Lobster. Like you
That
didn't
was
go in
the
there like
place.
after work. Like you didn't like you had to get dressed up. Like that was your finest church's outfit. You know what I'm saying? Like your after church outfit to go to Red Lobster, honey. Okay, that was your best lipstick to go to Red Lobster. Okay, you know what I'm saying? The car was washed when you went to Red Lobster. Okay, that's what that was. All right, I don't know what these kids talking about these days, but I mean, but we have evolved for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
But but times has changed. But having everything though, having everything,
everything has.
everything has.
It has. I just think that we're in a unique generation, being Generation X, like, because we're literally we've seen all the transitions, you know what I mean, from like the old to the new. Like, it's like we've been a part of those transitions when things shifted from, no technology, no internet, no social media, to now this is all there is, you know what I mean? So like we've really been a part of all of that. So we've had to be very what's the word? We've had to just learn how to be fluid and flexible and really go with the flow and change by nature, because we've been a part of that change in our generation. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting. Like these kids now, like this is all they know. They don't know anything else, right? And like our parents, you know what I mean? Like they had their way for a long time. They were full adults before things really shifted. Where us, it was like in the midst of us really still growing up and becoming adults.
But I look at it when I go home, that is my realization. Every time I go home, it's like, because I've been gone I'm 51 now. So, girl, do the math. Golly.
Mm.
Oh my goodness. I left home at 18. And when I say left home, like I left the city of Detroit. So, girl, how many years is that? 38 of them? Is that 38 of them?
That's what a calculator's for, okay?
Girl, I can't even remember.
That's what a calculator is for. Let's see how many years that is. So 51 minus 18, 33.
33 years I've been gone.
Mhm.
So I've been
That's a
gone
whole
33 years.
lifetime.
I've been gone 33 years. And what was astonishing to me is when I turned 50 last year was when I had came to the realization that I had spent half of my life in the military. And so
Mm.
my brother is the person that always keeps me grounded, right? Because I didn't know what I didn't know. Like I didn't know what I didn't know. Like I didn't know what I didn't know. And when and I see your tagline is, girl, live your effing life. Like
Mhm.
like 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 when I go home, like I was just home last week, and I go home and I remember it's it's weird that I you asked me earlier when we started this call, why did I go home? I went home because I was supposed to close on my mother's house while I was home.
Mm.
And it ended up not happening because of greed, more or less. Right. And that's another story, but it didn't happen. Um, but it didn't happen because of greed. Right.
And so when you say that, meaning you were gonna buy your mother a home?
The house that she's in, it belonged to my uncle who passed away in 2022. And when he
Mm.
passed away, he didn't have any kids. And so,
Okay.
because he didn't have any kids, his house that he owned was passed down to his siblings. And so, his siblings, who who also consist of my mom, since then they've lost another sibling. I was going to buy the house for my mother, and so they agreed to sell me the house for $60,000. At the time that my uncle passed, the house was only worth $45,000. Well, since then I put $20,000 worth of money into the house. Well, I was going to buy the house for $60,000. Well, since then the house has went up, so the family wants me to pay more for the house, and so
Mm-hmm.
they won't let me cash the house out. So my uncle, who is the caregiver for everything, was agreed upon with $60,000, but the other family members is like, no, 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 no. And so my mother has been in the house since the year before last. So I pulled all this money out to settle this house, and so it ended up not happening. And so it more or less, and like I told my uncle, I said, you know what? And I've been paying, because my uncle had took, before he passed, he had put a lien out on the house because the house was paid for. He had
Okay.
took a lien out on the house, so I had been paying the lien since it been
Okay.
paid for. So my family thought that I was going to give them, this was thought they thought that I was going to give them, not my uncle who's selling everything. That's the one that lives in Minnesota. The one who I was talking about, the one before I said, when I moved there, when I went to Target, right?
Mhm.
Um, he knew that I was, since I had been paying the lien on the house. The lien was for $33,000 because my uncle took a lien on the house in 2021 before he passed in 2022. The lien was for $33,000. Since he's passed, I've been paying the lien off because the lien didn't start being having to be paid back until 2023.
Okay.
So I've been paying the lien back. Now, $60,000 was how much my family wanted me to pay for the house. So you would think
Mhm.
$60,000 is minus the 33,000, which means that I will owe the family
I see.
$27,000.
Okay.
That was understood. My
Mhm.
family thought that I was going to give them a $60,000 cash in addition to the 33,000, and I was like, hell no, I'm not about to take no. Why would I give
Mhm.
y'all another 60,000 in addition to the 33? But my
Right.
uncle in Minnesota was like, no, Yashika was going to give y'all the difference between the 60 and the 33, which was
Right.
27. They was like, no, we thought she was going to give us 60. No, so because of that, they was like, well, since she's not going to give us 60, we want what the house is really worth now, because since my uncle has been deceased, the house has went up in value.
But
The
you
house has went up in
actually
value.
paid to get up. Did you pay to update the house and everything? So you paid for that.
Yes, yes, that's why the house has went up in value. Yes.
I see, says the blind man. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Yes. So that's where we are now. So I say all this to you because I'm at home and I'm looking at my this is my mother's generation, right? Because my mother and my father got married because they had like a shotgun ready. My mother got pregnant with me at 15, my dad was 20, and she had me at 16. My dad joined the military, but he didn't retire or anything like that. He got put out along the way. They were never really married, but but
Mhm.
they were married, okay? Um but you know how that was back in the 70s, right?
Mhm.
So for me, I just was like, you know what? I got to get the hell up out of here because I did all the things, right? Before I was 18. When I tell you all the things, I did all the things. I was selling the drugs. What made me stop selling the drugs was I realized that um it was one of those things where I was like, because I mean I had to I started selling like I was hustling early. Like, I mean, think about it. I was from Detroit. Like, I'm from Ecorse, Michigan. So when you watch BMF, like, think about Ecorse,
Okay.
Michigan. Like, that's where my
So
family's
where
from.
is that? Like, how far is that from Detroit? Because I know you're calling it
Ecorse
Detroit. Is it
is
a suburb of
Ecorse
Detroit?
is like, so imagine where you are, DC to Baltimore.
Okay, so that's like
That's
40. So Baltimore area is like 45 to an hour from
Oh no,
DC.
I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. Bad analogy. I'm sorry. Like you cross the street. Like literally you cross the street.
So it's
You
right
cross
there. So it's a border. So
Correct. You cross the
it's more
street.
like PG County. It's like you could be in
Correct.
Maryland here, and then you could be
Correct,
in PG
correct. You
County.
cross the street because you got like Ecorse, you got like Detroit, but then you got like Southwest Detroit, Lincoln Park. You got like all these little sub cities that's around. But you can
Okay.
cross the street and be in Southwest Detroit, but then there's other parts of Detroit. So all of it's like right there together, right?
Okay.
But everybody in Ecorse like know everybody. Like everybody in Ecorse knows
Okay.
everybody. Like everybody know everybody. Like the man who was fixing my mom's hot water tank last week, it was best friends with my dad in high school, and my dad's been dead for
Mm.
30 years, right? So he
So
was able to
people
tell
tend
me,
to stay there.
yeah, they tend to stay there. They live
Okay.
in their parents' homes and stuff, when they
Okay.
die off and everything. Um, but I was listening to my family, and I'm looking at my parents because my mother lives in the house that my uncle's in, which ironically that house is next door to my grandparents' house. Like
Mm.
literally, they're next door to each other. To
Okay.
this because my uncle now lives in that house. Once my grandparents passed on, they left that house to my youngest uncle, and so
Okay.
they're next door neighbors to each other. And so I'm looking at like how even like I said, when I was young, what made me stop, because when I was a young kid, I even like I started young. I started like selling papers. Like, I had a paper route when I was like 12 years old. I
Hmm.
had a paper
Yep.
route because my mother told me young, she's like, listen, I ain't got no money. My mother told me she ain't got no money. She's like, I don't have no money, I don't know what to tell y'all. And she meant that. She meant it. So me and my brother was like, we got to get it how we get it, right? And ironically, my brother and I have two different fathers, but both our fathers were hustlers. My like both of our fathers were hustlers. Like when
Mm.
you like when I tell you hustlers, they were both hustlers.
So
Um,
stereotypical hustlers in the street making their money however they made their money.
like my brother's father, like yeah, my father, yeah, but he tried to do the right thing. He tried to join the military, and it didn't work out right. But he was a pretty my daddy was a pretty boy, so he, yeah. So anyway, he looked like the DeBarge, one of the DeBarge boys. So he looked just like one of the El DeBarge boys. So so anyway, so
Could he
anyway,
sing like him too? He just looked like him.
no, he looked just like the El DeBarge. Like
I
I
was
show you a
gonna say
picture.
if he could sing like him too, y'all know you was in
Yeah,
trouble.
he looked just like he looked just like El DeBarge. But but so for me, so and then when I got up to some age, I had to get a job, and then when that wasn't enough,
Mhm.
I tried to sell drugs. And what made me, and I went to a school for smart kids in Detroit. I went to a school for smart kids. It's called Cass High School, which was like one of the top schools in the nation at the time. And Kenya Moore I went to school with Kenya Moore and a few other people. And
Okay.
and and what made me not do it was one day I went to, and I didn't know when you sell drugs, you had to have clients, right? I thought it was like Field of Dreams, right? If you build it, they'll come. Like for real, I
Where
really
did
did. I
you
thought,
so how did
like
you
I
learn
did.
about it then to do it? To
Like
you
I
know
thought, like I didn't
you
want to. I
stumbled on
kid
it.
you not. I kid you not. Like, let me tell you what happened. I kid you not. I'm rushing the story up because I have a lot of stories, but this is how I knew I had to get away from Detroit. Um, I had because I needed some money because I was
Mhm.
working, but I also had a car note because my mother told me she's like because I went to school downtown Detroit, and
Mm.
my mother didn't even have money to give me bus fare, so I
Okay.
had to catch a bus to school. But my mother told me when I turned 16, she said, "I'll buy you a car, but you got to pay the car note." She said, "I'll co-sign for
Okay.
you one." So I'm 16, so I got a car. I had an
Mm.
escort, but I got to pay the car note and the car insurance. Okay. So I got a
Wow.
little job. Now, mind you, before that, I had a job at Taco Bell when I was 15. But let me tell you how I got the job. I got the job because I had a fake birth certificate that said that I was 16, and I went to the library and I typed in that said I was 16. So that's how I started getting money. And so I would catch the bus to Taco Bell and I was making $3.35 an hour. So
Oof.
then once I got 16, I was like, I'm legit now. So then once I got legit, I got a job at Learners out at the mall. And then at Learners, I was making $4.50 an hour. Then
Hang
from there,
down.
I went to Arby's. And at Arby's, I was making $5.50 an hour. And that's when I got my car. Okay. So when I got my car, I got my escort. No, first I was making no, I got my escort when I was at Learners. So I was making $4.50 an hour. I got my escort. So I was like, okay, bet. So it still wasn't enough money because mom was like, you got to pay this car note and this car insurance. But
Right.
because because between work and school, you only could work so many hours, right? They was like, back then it was really, they was really funny about you working.
Yeah.
So I tried to, so I was like, I need some more money. Then on top of that, my wallet got stolen, which had my car insurance money in there. I'm telling you, my wallet got stolen. I was so mad. So I was like, okay, I need some money. So somebody said, well, if you buy this, you could flip it and get some money. So I was like, all right, sound like a good idea to me. It sounded like a good idea to me. Okay. So I bought it. I swear, I promise to God, these are true stories. I promise you to God. So I bought it. Okay. Now I didn't have no customers because they was like, you got to sell it. I was like, well, I'm not about to stand on no corners. I'm not about to do none of that. I'm
Thanks.
not about to do none of that. I'm not about to do none of that. I'm not about to do none of that. So I was like, well, so this one girl told me, which was, I'm not gonna even tell who it was. So this one girl was like, well, you can take it. She was like, I don't have nothing. You could take it over to such and such because she needs something. So I was like, all right, bet. Because it was one of her people, right?
Got it. Okay. So you just
So
started
I
making
go over
deliveries.
to so I go over to this lady, which was a client. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Avalaura, I promise you on my life, this is a true story. So I hand it to the lady, and the way I'm standing in the doorway, it's like I'm giving her a fingernail polish, like a bottle of fingernail polish. So as I'm handing it to her, I looked over, and sitting on the couch was a girl that I went to school with. And she looked up at me, and I looked at, now mind you, I told you I went to school for smart kids. I went to Cass Technical
Well, I
Hospital.
mean, they still doing the same thing now.
It don't, but what I'm saying to you is that she
Yeah.
looked at me. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and right now my hair is standing, and I wish you could see the hair stand up on my arms, because that right there let me know I wasn't cut out for that life, because that was
Mm-hmm.
her mother. And all I could think about was, if her mother goes in the bathroom and OD, she'll know that I gave it to her. And I said, this life ain't for me.
Girl, that's the
This life,
Pisces. Why you being
this
so
life
sensitive and thinking about
ain't
how you treating
for
other
me.
people?
This life ain't for me, honey. This life
Yeah,
ain't
it's
for
not.
me. This life ain't for me. Okay. And let me tell you what, and I
Wow.
did that, and let me tell you, and then I ended up getting screwed on the other end, but that's another story. Then I used to work at Learners, because I told you I worked at Learners. So then people used to leave their credit cards at the store. So I used to doggone have people come up in there, and I'd be like, come in there, let's go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I'm saying to you is, this was all before I was 18. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I was smart. I was smart. There was a movie that was out years ago called Angel. I used to love this movie. It was a movie about a girl. She was a streetwalker in LA, but she was a real smart girl in school. And I used to think about that movie. I used to be like, you know what? I wasn't a streetwalker, but I felt like she was living my life, because here I was doing all these things in daytime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or in nighttime, but then in daytime I was in school doing, like, I mean, and when I talk to my high school friends, they say, Yashika, we thought you was grown when we was in school. Like, for real, because I'm telling you, I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize it, because I just had a different life. And so for me,
I mean, you
I
had
go
all
back
the adult
home.
responsibilities.
I had adult responsibilities. Like, and my mother always taught me the response. Like, when I would babysit my cousins when I was a kid, my mother always told me, whatever I bought, I had to buy my brother. I had to take care of my brother too. So
Wow.
my baby brother. So it was always me and my baby brother. And so, but my baby brother is the person. He's my favorite person in the world, and he's the person that keeps me grounded. And so, but when
Mm-hmm.
I go home and he tells me, he said, Yashika, you the only person I ever knew that knew what they were going to do with their life. And I said, it's not that I knew what I was going to do with my life. It's just that I thought everybody come up with a plan and they just go for it, and they just go for it. And he said, no,
Yeah.
that's not what happens. I said, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought people just go for it and they just adjust as they see fit. I said, because we all got a story. You know what I mean? Like, we all got a story. Cause I mean, like when I tell you I got a tragic, I mean, when I tell you I'm the definition of a tragedy, what I mean, whatever you want to think of, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I just knew that I didn't want to keep living that stuff. And when I go back home and
Mm.
I look at the stuff that I see, even with my marriages and just the toxicity of just the back and forth and the repeated cycle of generational stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot. And every day I'm reminded. And my mother said something to me the other day when I was home, and I was like, you know what? I might need to. She might be right. I don't know if she's right, but it could be true. It could be true. So ever since then, I've been on the fast, because I was like, she might be right. She might be
What
right.
did she
She
say?
might be right. so, so so I'm retired, right? So
Mm-hmm.
since I turned 50 last year, I went on a what I call my three continental I call it my three continental vacation,
Mm-hmm.
because I went to three different continents last year.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I felt a love for wine. Like, I felt a love for wine. Like, before that, I was never a drinker. Like, I was never a
Mm-hmm.
drinker, but I love wine. So since then, I've been drinking wine every single day. Now, this
Mm-hmm.
started like July of last year. I've been
Mm-hmm.
drinking wine every single day. Now, so I go home last week, and my mother, because my mother's my North Star, right? My mother listen, she got her ways. When I tell you, my mother, we can't my mother lived with me for 17 years, but that's another story. That's another story.
Ah,
She was my dependent while I was in the army for 17 years. She moved in with me when I was 27,
wow.
but that's another story. Okay, remember, we only 16 years apart, but that's another
Wow.
story.
That's true. Yeah, I was thinking that. Y'all grew
So
up
we grew
together.
up together. So we grew up
Mm-hmm.
together. Okay. But that's another story. But she my North Star. But anyway, so she says, so my mother, when I was home, my mother tells me she bought me a dress. So I like to wear flowy dresses.
Mm-hmm.
So she buys this dress. And so she says to me, she says, no, first it was one day I was home and she says, because I got the whole upstairs in the house that I was gonna buy. I got the whole upstairs. And so she says, so I go upstairs and I'm watching my TV and everything because she got her, she doing her thing in her house because it's the first time she ever had her own house, so
Wow.
she doing her thing, right?
Wow.
And so my daughter downstairs in her room, my mama downstairs in her room, my mother, I'm upstairs in my whole little upstairs room. So I'm up there, in my little lounge chair, drinking my wine and everything. So my mother says to me, she says, well, are you depressed? Are you lonely? Or are you unhappy? And I said, well,
Mm.
mama, what are you talking about? She says, because you're drinking wine every day. You said you drink. She said, I see you go on the live and you say you're drinking wine every day.
So I see you
And
on
I
the
was like,
live. Why are you watching my lives?
and I thought about it, right? And I say, well, mama, I'm not none of those things, right?
Mm,
I say, mama, I'm not none of those things. I said, I'm really, actually, really happy, right? But then I thought about it because
mm,
why? 50 things can be true at one time, right?
mm,
50
that's
things can be
fact.
true at one time, right?
Yep.
Because this is what I know to be true. Could it eventually get to the point where I do start to depend on this because maybe I will get unhappy or depressed or lonely? Absolutely, right? And I don't even realize it, right?
Mm,
Because my mother also saw her parents be alcoholics. You understand what I'm
mm.
saying? Not only that, but my mother
Women
see it in
DNA.
her family. You understand what I'm saying? So she's my North Star. So when I came back from there, and then she also bought me a dress while I was home, right?
Mhm,
And so I like swirly dresses. And so my mother bought me a dress. And so she says, Yashika, I bought this dress that I thought, she said I liked it. She said, but when I tried it on, I don't like how it fit. And so instead of me taking it back to the store, she
okay.
said I bought it from TJ Maxx and she said and instead of me taking it back to the store, I just figured I'd give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So when I tried it on the next day, I looked at the dress and it was an extra large. And I said, my mama didn't buy this dress for her. She bought this dress for me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I thought about it. I said, but she intentionally bought it in the extra large. So I
Mm-hmm.
went downstairs and I say, Mama. So I had put my little belt on with it, and I put my little shoes on with it because I happen to have some shoes in the belt that match it. So I said, Mama, I like this dress. I said, you bought this dress for me, didn't you? She said, I may have. I said, but you telling me I'm in the extra large now. I said, so what you saying is I've been drinking too much wine. So that's the moral of the story. So what I was saying is that so like I said, so that's my North Star. So that's what she really was telling me. Absolutely. So you see where I'm going with this. So she said,
That's the old school way, That's the like
absolutely,
now there's no tact whatsoever. I'm gonna just say whatever I say. And I'm keeping it
absolutely.
real. But old
And my
school,
mama know I don't drink wine, but I was like, Mama, I'm actually pretty happy. I was like, because I didn't got complacent because I'm living my best life. I'm sitting around here dancing and I'm around here because I didn't fell in love with wine. I'm just living my best life. And she like, are you depressed? And I guess she said, because what did you do? And she said, girl, I guess she said, girl, because I ain't seen my mama since November. And she said, girl, and listen, and I tell you what, Avalaura, since I've been home, I have been juicing. Let me tell you something. I got home on Monday.
that was the
On
wake up
Tuesday,
call.
I was at Sam's Club buying all the fruits and vegetables. You hear me? And I went up in that linen closet. I mean, that closet up in my kitchen. I bought that juicer down. I got them old mason jars, honey, and I've been juicing the whole time.
But what I love about that, is, I mean, so many things, right? But I love that you said like 50 things can be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because many of us would have dismissed that because, like you said, now I'm happy. I'm living my best life. I'm traveling. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. That could be true And this could be true as well. And wisdom is knowing that. Wisdom is just not
Absolutely.
writing it off because it doesn't feel good. It doesn't resonate with me. I don't want it to be true. But it's like, wow, okay, this person knows me. You know, this is
That's right.
perspective.
That's right.
Let,
That's
let,
right.
let, let me let me let
That's
me
right.
sit with that for a minute. Let me
That's
let
right.
it
And that's my
simmer.
mama. And that's my mama. And by me being a single woman, I don't have no one that
Yeah.
holds me accountable but my mama. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm,
I don't have nobody to hold me accountable. Right. And so sometimes we want to take, and that's why I tell people sometimes when we look at our, even with our kids sometimes, and they get mad at us, and I'm looking at my kids and we were talking about our kids earlier about this and how they want to
mhm,
fight at us. I'm like, listen, y'all have no idea. Like y'all have no idea. Like we're not telling. I have a 29-year-old son,
mhm,
and I don't even know he's somewhere in Texas somewhere. I think he's living in his car. I don't know where he's at. He might be
mhm,
living in his car. I don't know. But I tell him, I say, son, let me tell you something. Everything I tell you, it ain't to hurt. It ain't for me. It's for
mhm,
you. It's for
mhm,
you because I'm telling you, it's rough as heck out here. This
mhm,
world don't give a crap about nobody. This world don't give a crap. I was thinking about that the other day when I was coming home. I'm looking at my mother, and I have my brother, and of course, like I said, my father has been deceased for 30 some years,
mhm,
and then I have my two sons, and I have my daughter, and my adopted daughter and everything. But I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's like, who do you have in this world? Like who do you have to protect you in this world? You understand what I'm saying? Like you don't have, like you don't, like, listen, like you don't have, like, I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, you know what? Have I ever felt protected as a
mhm.
51-year-old woman? Have I?
Ooh,
And I've been married twice. I
that's
have
deep.
never felt protected. And I'm looking at my son. So I'm looking at him like, listen, it ain't my job to protect you. You are a full grown man.
Mm,
If you can't figure it out, listen, I'm sorry. Because you should feel more protected than me. Because guess what? The world gonna try you before they try me. Excuse
mm,
me, the world gonna try me before they try you. And guess what? You gonna try me before I try you.
mm,
My son will step to me before I step to him. You understand what
mhm,
I'm saying? Because he's a man,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
So that's why I have to make sure that, listen, I don't. I've watched, and I look at this, and I even look at that even when it comes to women, and I think that's one of the things that I think that when we talk about our family and I don't know if this part will be edited out or not, but we talk about the things that we think about when it comes to our kids. I think that one of the things that I have to remind people about when it comes to our kids, especially women and our sons, is that we don't have our kids for us. And I think sometimes people believe that. People believe that we have our kids for us, right?
mhm,
And I watch that so much in families where